Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to play The Search for Lost Species. This is a board game that I do want to own, but don't have the money for it right now. I did request a press copy, but no response yet. So, Tabletop Simulator it is. Luckily, there is a version on Tabletop Simulator, but it's not scripted. This is a game that is along the same line as The Search for Planet X, a game that I do own and have covered before. It's one of those find the hidden information games where you're using logic and clues and guesses that other players are making in order to figure out where everything is. In the Search for Planet X, you had to try and find, well, Planet X and other things like comets and dwarf planets and asteroids. In this game, the Search for Lost Species, you're looking for the lost species, but you're also looking for other animals as well. There's a python, for example. There's some toads. There's some couscous, I think. It's not the food couscous. It's C-U-S-C-U-S, couscous. So you're trying to find these animals, and each of these animal types have different rules about them. And I have the app off to the left. I have that patched in here to my OBS screen, so you'll be able to see me interact with the app and play the game at the same time. I will have to jump around on the tabletop simulator a bit, but here's a quick look at the main board. And the board is broken up into hexes. You've got hex number 1, for example, up here. You've got 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down. So there's quite a bit of hexes here, and we're going to be moving our figure across the land in order to perform various actions. There are also these villages on these two sides here, and we can actually perform research at those locations, as well as draw these cards here, which are great. They either score victory points for you at the end of the game, or they provide some kind of one-time benefit. Sometimes they even provide a whole game benefit. So we'll get to those when we get to those. There's also a time track along the perimeter of the board, and this is where you kind of keep track of whose turn it is next. Whoever's furthest back on the track will get to go. I am the red player, and Teeny, I think, I'm going to have to look that up in a minute, is the bot player. And there's also this brown explorer player, which doesn't do anything except advance on these tan spaces, and actions are taken when that happens. So you'll see that more later on. Okay. There's also different lost species that we can actually pick for our game. So even though, like, the search for lost species is just like you're trying to find the lost species, but you can actually change what that lost species is and what the logic rules are behind that. So, for example, the Aru flying fox. The Aru flying fox is not adjacent to the python, which is one of the animals that you may find. So that's one of the possible creatures that you can have selected for the lost species. There's also the Zugs monitor. It's not across a mountain from any couscous. So you pick the one that you like, or you can randomize it via the app. We're just going to choose the Aru Flying Fox. I haven't chosen that one before, so this should be interesting. So yeah, that's the general gist of it. We're going to be performing actions, learning more about what is where. And again, you will need the app for this. Just like in the Search for Planet X, you will need an app for the Search for Lost Species. It is a free download, so there's that. And you can play multiplayer with other people, or you can play solo against the bot. I'm going to scroll down here a little bit on Tabletop Simulator. There's a rulebook off to the left, which the maker of this particular module did provide, which is nice. This is the solo rulebook, and then over here to the right is the actual rulebook. I may have to refer to those from time to time. Each player gets one of these tracking sheets, and as you take actions, this is where you write down your information, so you can keep track of what you've asked of the app so far, and maybe even keep track of what other people are asking the app. You won't get what answers they get, but you will be able to write down what they're asking, and if they're like providing guesses or theories on spaces to earn victory points, then you may like deduce, they've been asking about those lorries a lot. Maybe they know something, that kind of thing. So on the upper right, there's a space for your name and a game code. There's a 4-digit game code that is provided by the app, and that is unique. So you can, if the game crashes, for example, on Tabletop Simulator, or you have to abandon the game because you're playing it at home and you have to rush out and do something and come back to it later, but the pieces got messed up, you can kind of use the game code to resume and pick up where you left off, which is kind of nice. So, there's a 4-digit game code that will randomize the answers for you, and you can come back to it later by writing down that game code. On the very bottom left are the logic rules behind each of the different creatures in the game. There are a total of 4 lories, which are birds, and these will form some kind of pattern. If you take it's hard to see. In fact, there's a little thing for it right there. So yeah, that's the piece that you can use to kind of like cover up, just to see where the lories might be. So yeah, that's how you determine where the lories are, by using something like this. But they will always be together to form that pattern in some way. Then there's 3 of this couscous, 1 or 2 areas from both other couscous. So you'll never find a couscous more than 2 away from another one, is what that's saying. And then the 2 toads that are in the game adjacent to at least 2 empty spaces. You've got 1 python, which are not adjacent to any couscous. And then there are 5 truly empty areas. And the lost species will appear as empty, but really isn't. So if you do find an empty space, you have to, keep in the back of your mind, hey, you know what, maybe this might be the lost species, but, it's something you have to deduce for yourself. There's also one of these handy dandy, player guides down here, player screens, and it kind of goes over everything I just mentioned. There's mention of mountain spaces. If you take a look at the actual piece of paper here, there's those little thick lines. Those are mountains, and you can actually see them on the board here via these pieces. They break adjacency. So 16 is not adjacent to 11 because there's a mountain in the way. However, lories do not worry about mountains because they're birds and they fly. So the only creature that kind of breaks the whole mountain rule is the lories, which are those 4 birds. So there's mountain spaces there. I'm trying to think what else. There's different actions we can take: going to town, surveying by boat, surveying by foot. There's a camera trap we can put down, locating the lost species. So there's quite a bit here, and we're not going to go over everything up front because there's just a lot. So we'll just start the game and have at it. We'll start by doing, let's go to the app, obviously, and we'll write down the game code and all that jazz. So the app is in the upper left-hand corner, and I apologize if I was going over things but not really paying attention to see if the app was covering something up. Okay, I sometimes do that. I'm old. So I'm going to go ahead and, here's a quick look at the options menu in case you want to see what that looks like. Teeny. That is the bot name. Okay, let's go back, and we'll do easier game or harder game. We'll do easier game. And our game code is Y2U6. So what I'm going to do is, on this game code section, which might be hard for you to see, I'm going to type in Y2U6. Just to have it down for later. I have experienced crashes lately with Tabletop Simulator. I'm sincerely hoping if that happens, then this stuff doesn't get erased. We'll see. There is an autosave. I'll just put my name down there as Vince. And if anyone wanted to, you could actually open up the app and play along. If you want, you could write down your own notes or whatever, which is kind of cool. Or you can replay this whole game. Might be a little bit of spoiler though, because we'll be discovering things as we go. Okay, so we're going to hit continue. And which direction are we facing the board? We've got the south board here, which, is what we want. So we're just going to type in or click south or tap south on the app, hit continue. And difficulty level. This is how many starting facts we get. To keep the video at a respectable length, I'm going to go ahead and just choose the novice setting. From my understanding, Teeny does not get any starter information on the easier setting. So I'm going to go ahead and hit novice here for 12 different facts. And we're going to be sort of marking this information off in our sheet. So for example, and again, I'm going to try and make note of my OBS so nothing gets covered up too much. So we're going to go through these one at a time. There's no lorry on 1. So I'm going to just drag this X over to that and cover up the lorry space. There we go. Next is 2 does not have a lorry, so we're going to cover that up. And number 5 does not have a toad, which is there. Number 6 does not have a toad. We're going to try and, there we go, grab that and put that there. Number 7 does not have a lorry. And again, you can start this with, no information if you want to. You start from scratch and try and puzzle this out. It just takes a little longer. No couscous on 9. Number 11 has no couscous as well. Number 12 has no python. Okay. Number 13 has no toad. Lots of toad information there. Number 14 has no python. Number 15 has no couscous. And number 16 has no python. Okay, 16, no python. There we go. All right, so that is our starting information. And I'm going to hit continue. And these are conferences. And these conferences will allow us to research different information on like the relationships between different creatures, like Lori versus cuckoos. What information will we get if we research that? We'll find out as we play along here. Select a scientist. Just choose red is fine. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and add solo mini. I'm just going to do start solo game with tiny, whatever. Or we can add players to the device if we want to, but we're going to go ahead and hit start solo game on easy. They do not get any starter information. All right, so we're going to put his yellow figure on the 10 space per what the app is telling us to do. The 10 space is right there. And we're going to hit continue. Okay, and it looks like ours location is number 7 per the app. So I'm going to go ahead and put that over here. Okay, so we start the game because we are furthest back on the track here. So let's figure out what we can do. I think we're just going to go straight to the village here, take the research action, and just try and get a card. I think that's going to be very useful. So I'm going to start by going to the village. I can move up to 3 spaces and then go like 1, 2, 3. And again, if you ever want to know what actions you can take, on the very bottom middle there, visit a town. Move 1 to 3 spaces, end in a town space, choose 1 card, then research 1 topic. So we're going to choose one of these 4 cards. This one is take an extra research action when you go to a village. So I could start the game with 2 if I take this card right away. The Trailblazer is a one-time action. I can take the move survey action for 1 time instead of 3 times, which is really good because the actions you take in this game cost time. And that will determine, the more time you take doing things, the more turns other people get. So you have to be conscious of that. These are victory point cards from the looks of it. I'm not going to worry about those right now. It's either going to be this card here or this card here. Having extra starting information would be wonderful. Although having the ability to just do a quick survey for 1 action, I think I'm going to take that one. That's really good. So I'm going to take that card, and that gets replaced. And then lastly, I get to take a research action. So I'm going to go to my app, visit a town, and I get to choose which of these things I want to know about. So again, looking at my sheet here, what do I know a lot about? I got some information, about the toads and whether or not I got some information about some of the lorries. Maybe the lorry and the couscous might be good. Who knows, the python. Let's just do couscous and toad B just to see what that gives us, and we'll write it down. So I'm going to tap on the B here and hit research. Exactly 1 toad is adjacent to at least 1 couscous. So just to type that in down here under B, exactly 1 toad is adjacent to at least 1 couscous. So I don't know if that's going to be helpful or not, but All right, and that was one action point to do that, so I move up the track by one. And it is now the computer's turn. So we're going to tap on the teeny turn button on the app. And it's confirming, are you on space? Is the computer on space 10? Yes. Teeny visits the southwest town and does the following research: rainforest. So he's going to go there, the same place I am, and he's going to search the... he's going to research that rainforest. He also takes the highest number card. Now, the AI, I think that's number 17. Some of these cards are a bit blurry. I'm going to assume it's the right one. The computer does not play these cards. Rather, he just gathers them for endgame scoring. Each card is worth 2 points at the game's end for him. Okay. So he did that. He grabbed a card, and he also researched the rainforest one. So I'm actually going to write in here on my sheet AI, and then I'll put in here researched C rainforest. The rainforest is a type of terrain in the game, and there are several types of terrain. There's like the hills, there's swamp, there's I think that's the rainforest there in green. So I wonder if it's down here actually. Terrain, mountains. It doesn't actually... Oh, I don't see the different types of terrain there. I think there's 3 of them. Again, there's those green there, there's the swamp there, and the hills there. So he learned something about spaces 9, 7, 6, 5, 3, and 1. Possibly what creatures may be there. I don't know. So he moves up 1 space on the track for doing that. If he lands, if you land on a space that someone else has, you go on the very front. So now I get to take a turn because he moved in front of me. So now what do I want to learn about? What do I want to do? I can take various actions, and I got to figure that out. Got to figure out what actions I want to take to learn more about this. I know very little about the lorries. I do know that there's 2 crossed off up here, and I'm very tempted to try and narrow down where these lorries are, because there are 4 of them. I am here on this space, and I'm thinking of maybe doing some kind of action to... Maybe I can do 10, 11, 6 for 1 action using my card, and ask about lorries. Although, yeah, I'm gonna do that. And if I get nothing, I can eliminate these 3 down here as well, because there's no possible way they could be there using this pattern, because there's already an X here. So there could be lorries like this, or something like that. But or maybe something like that. But I'm gonna do maybe 10, 11, 6. I'm gonna use that walk action. And again, the action specifically: survey by foot, move 1 to 3 spaces, may double back, survey for 1 animal in all areas you enter. So I'm gonna pick an animal, move 3 spaces, and pick an animal. So I'm gonna go 10, 11, 6 is what I'm gonna do. And I'm going to type that into my app here in a moment. So I went 10, 11, 6, and we're going to survey by foot. We're going to look for lorries, and on the app, we're going to type in the actual, or just like tap the actual spaces, hit continue. And look at that. There are 2 lorries in that search pattern, which is interesting. So there are, out of the 3 spaces I looked at, there are 2 of them. And that's kind of good, kind of not. Now I got to figure out what direction they're going in. So I do know that there's possibly 1 in 10, possibly 1 in 11 and 6. But in what shape or form, I don't know. I can possibly deduce that they could be like this, in which, like, this is the farthest right they could possibly be. So I'm thinking, like, I can eliminate the lorries from 13 and 4 up and to the right. Like, they wouldn't be this far up. With assuming they are 11 and 6, assuming out of the 3, 10, 11, and 6, that the lorries are at 11 and 6, the highest they could go is here. So there's no lorries for sure on 13. There's none on 4, none on 15, none on 3, and none at 14. So we are slowly eliminating where these lorries are. But I am going to type in here lorries 10, 11, 6, and the result was 2, which is good. But I'm using my card that would normally cost me 3 time, but I used my Trailblazer card to shorten that to 1 time. So I'm going to put that in the discard there, and I'm going to move my timer guy, walker guy, up there, up to the next space. Okay, but it's still his turn because he's still furthest back on the track there. So we're going to hit continue and see what he does by tapping Teeny's turn. Teeny is on the southwest town. Yes, continue. Teeny places a camera trap in area 12. Unfortunately, the camera trap will tell you exactly what is there, except if it's a blank space, it'll say blank space. If it's actually the lost species, it'll come up as a blank space or an empty space. So he's going to move to 12, and he's going to put his camera trap. There's a token for the camera trap, which is here. And you don't get that back until the little brown explorer guy actually moves to the appropriate spot on the board. So that's going to stay there for a while. But that used 4 time. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and move right there. Okay, but he knows exactly what's on 12, and that's a little concerning to me. I am going to write that down, though. AI camera at 12. I don't know what he found, but I do know that he knows what that is. Now, that could be a lorry. So, here's the thing, pretty soon we're going to be doing, we're going to be performing sightings. And sightings are ways to earn victory points in this game. When the brown figure moves and there's a binocular token, we are allowed to guess from 0 to 2, different spaces on the board, what we think is there. And the computer, when you're playing against the computer, will always 100% know what is there when it guesses. So if it puts something down at 12, it knows what's there. It won't just blindly guess. It will know what's there. Now, if it doesn't guess when the time comes, it's an empty space. So we'll know that it was an empty space. We can kind of meta game that. It'll make more sense when we get there. But for right now, it is my turn. And I can't go back to the town because both of us did that. There is a town token, which I forgot to put out here. Same thing with him. We get the town token back when the brown explorer guy moves more along the track. It'll tell us when we can pick that back up again. But for now, I need to narrow down where these lorries are and try and get points that way when it comes time to actually do sightings. So as a reminder, let's jump down here and see what it is. We know that 10, 11, and 6 were possibly lorries. Now, what I could do is I could do a boat action. Boat actions only cost 2 time, but you have to move along the shore, and you can move up to 6 spaces. So I could do like, I don't know, 7. I could do 6, 7, 8, 9, and ask about lorries and see what kind of information I get, just to kind of discern a pattern. That's tricky though. So if I get, say, 1, then it could be, say, 10, 11, 16, and 6 with that pattern. Or it could be 9, 10, 16, 11. So maybe that approach isn't the right thing to do. I need to learn more about these lorries. I could take a boat action and just go all the way around. I don't think that would accomplish a whole lot. Or I could do 11, 10, 9. I could do 11, 10, 9 via boat. And if I don't get anything, then I'll know that one has to be here. This is tough because there could be a lorry here on 6. That's the biggest issue here. There could be a lorry on 6. And if there is, well, here's the thing. I just realized this. 10, 11, 6 only gave me 2. That tells me that the pattern cannot be, if I come down here, this could not be the pattern because that would give me a result of 3 and not 2, right? So that tells me that either the pattern is 10, 11, which would be this pattern, or it would be something like, I guess like that, or like that. So so 11, that tells me that 11, no matter what, has to be a lorry. 10, 11, 6. Because with that pattern being like that, and I don't know if you can actually see, yeah, let's go ahead and scroll over. So 10, 11, 6 came out with 2. Right? 2. So it could not be this. Otherwise, it would have come back as a result of 3. So that tells me that either the pattern is like this, 10, 11, and then that would result in 9 and 16 being lorries as well. Or it'd be 11, 6, which would mean that the pattern could be like this or like this. But in any case, that tells me that the number 11 space has to be a lorry. That kind of narrows it down a bit. So now what I want to do, I think, is eliminate one of those possible... The question is, how do I do that? Maybe look at, again, one of them could be like this. So I could do 6, I could look at 6 and 7. Well, it wouldn't be at 7. It can't be at, well, it could be at 7. So I could do 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, because 8 would not be a lorry. So I could maybe do like a, if I did 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, and end at 8, that would tell me if there are any lorries here or here. And if I do get a positive response that there's, if I get 2 lorries, then it's this, because 6 and 7 are both lorries in this case. But if I only get 1, then it's this. And if I get none, then it's this. So I think we've got it there, the way to deduce that. So with a boat action, it's coming down here. Survey by boat. Move 4 to 6, but may double back. So what we're going to do is we're going to move, we're on the 6 space now, I believe. 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to do survey by boat. And we're going to do 5, 6, 7, 8. And depending on that result, we'll know exactly the patterns for those lorries. 5, 6, 7. Wait, do I have a lorry crossed off here? Yeah, okay. So 5, 6, 7. So it can't be. So if there's a lorry crossed off down here, I must have missed that earlier. So it can't be that. It's either going to be this, or it's going to be this. Yeah. So I completely missed that red X there, and I think that was part of our starter information. So it's either going to be a result of 0, in which case the pattern is this, or it's going to be a result of 1, which would be that. So let's just do that and see what comes up. There are no lorries between 5 and 8. So that tells me that this is red and 8 there. So the only possible pattern now is this. So now we know where the lorries are. We know that they're at 11, 10, 9, and 16. Now that boat action cost me 2 time. So I need to move up the track 1, 2. Now, technically, I'm still behind the computer here, so I get to go again. However, there's that Explorer player. Now we get to submit sightings, and that's what this indication is. So it's going to move to the next brown spot, and then it's going to do whatever space it left. So it's going to do, we get to choose between 0 and 2 sightings on spaces that we may want to guess on. So in this case, I know where the lorries are, so I am going to do some sightings. So let's do confirm sightings. No. So I'm going to put down, we know this, the lorries are here, 11, 16, 10, and 9. So the way this works is the number 1 next to the spot, you can actually see there's a number 1 right there, right below the binoculars. We put, that is a time token, which means that later down the line, when the 1 comes up again, that's when we flip it over to confirm whether or not we were correct. And we check with the app. So there's actually 2 numbers listed here on each of these circles. This means put the number 1 with your guess. And then this is check the number 5 to see if you were correct. That's what these 2 numbers mean. But we're going to put 2 different things down. We're going to put the 1 there with the lorry token. That tells me he didn't find a lorry there, because a lorry wasn't there. So this would normally be flipped over face down, but I'm not worried about the AI peeking because, you know, it can't. So we're going to put a lorry guess there, and we're going to put a lorry guess down there, and we're going to put a 1 right there. Okay, so we're going to ask now, Teeny places sighting tokens. He gets to do it too. Is he going to? Teeny places a face-down sighting token in 12. So he did find something in 12, but we don't know what it is. It wasn't a lorry. So what we do is we take one at random. I'll just take one of the lorry tokens that he has. And when it does get revealed, we'll replace it with the right one. So he's sure about whatever that is. I just don't know what it is. It's not an empty space. And it's not the lost species, so it's one of those other things. So let's cross off empty space at 12, and let's cross off the lost species on 12. So it's either going to be, and I guess I can get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of all the other birds there. Okay. All right. So we've got a toad or a couscous. That's what it is. It's going to be one of those 2. And again, the toad's special rule is there has to be 2 empty spaces. There has to be 2 empty spaces adjacent to a toad, truly empty spaces. So if this is a toad, then that means this has to be truly empty, this has to be truly empty, and or this has to be truly empty. 2 of those 3 have to be truly empty for that to work, because this is a lorry. This is a lorry. So we could go to the trouble of putting X's all over here if we wanted to, but I think you guys get the idea. We're kind of eliminating all of this here. Oh, not that one. We don't know what that one is yet. But anything that's a lorry space, it can't be anything else, so we can cross that off. And as a reminder, there are 2 frogs, there are 3 couscous, 1 python, and I believe there are 5 truly empty spaces, along with 1 of the species X space. Okay, there we go. So that's kind of a better representation of what we got going on here. So with that being said, he placed that, and now it is my turn again because I'm still furthest back on the track. We didn't get our town tokens back. I'm very tempted to survey, maybe by foot. Now, when you survey by boat, it has to be along the riverbank. You cannot cross the island. So I may, in order to figure out what's there, I may have to do a land survey kind of thing. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I could do a boat action and get over there, and I could also survey for other things along the way, because I still don't know what's at 7 yet, right? I don't know what's on 6. I don't know what's on 7. So I could do a boat action. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Where am I at? Am I on 6? I'm on 6. So maybe instead of doing 6, how many can I do? Boat action. Move 4 to 6 spaces, and I can double back. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would give me information on 7, 8, and 12 about the creature that I ask about. My only concern with that is if I guess, say, couscous or toad, what if there's, well, you know what? Here's the thing. There could be a toad here, and this be empty, and this be empty. There cannot be a toad here because there's not enough empty spaces around it. This is the only possible empty space there is. So we can eliminate the frog from this space. Okay. However, this frog is still a thing because this could be empty and this could be empty. Okay. So I could do 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. But if I get 2 results, if I get 2 frogs, then they'd be at 7 and 12. If I get 1 result, then it's either going to be 7 or 12, but I don't know. I wouldn't know which it was. And that's what's concerning to me. I could look for couscous instead, just to see if I can narrow down where they are over here. Like, maybe I look for couscous. That could be. And then there's that research conference thing. 1 toad is adjacent to at least 1 couscous. So 1 toad is adjacent to at least 1 couscous. So one of the 2 toads is adjacent to at least 1 couscous. So there could be a grouping of couscous and toad over here. It's just we're not going to know until we guess. I feel like looking for couscous. We might get more information that way. Because if I do 7 through 12 and get 1 frog, I'm not going to know if the toad is here or here. If I look for couscous, I might get lucky and get like 2 results, in which case it could be 7 and 8 and 12. We could narrow down what it is. There cannot be a couscous at 8 and 12 because they have to be maximum 2 spaces apart. So and this is just a Hail Mary. I don't know if it's going to be fruitful, but I think we look for couscous. We're going to survey by vote and do 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 and see what we get out of that. Again, we'll see. Oh, do I do this? Sure. There are 2 couscouses. Interesting. Okay, well, let's go ahead and write that down. So we've got couscous, and we did 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 is what we did there. We could do 7 through 12, but, you know. And then we got a result of 2. So what does that tell us? That means that there could be 1 at 12 and 7. There cannot be 1 at 8 and 12. There could be 1 at 7 and 8, and maybe 1 at 6. So the couscouses could be like 5, 7. No, it can't be at 5. It could be 6, 7, 8. It could be like 12, 6, 7. if there's two, all right, so let's think about this. Let's think about this. I think we can guarantee that there's a couscous at 7. Again, couscouses cannot be more than 2 spaces away from another couscous. So if this were the end of the chain, and assuming these two were the couscous, that would mean that the couscous would either be at 5 or 6. The other one, because this one would be in range of both this and this. If 7 and 8 were the two couscous, then that means 6 is the other couscous, because that's the only one in range. So I think we know that 7 is a couscous. And we'll just assume that. The question is, where is that second couscous? Is it at 12? Or is it at 8? And we could let the computer reveal that information to us, but I kind of want to get that information before his theory is resolved. So we know where that is. Is there anything else that would help us? Any other information? It's Python related, so I don't think that's going to help us. The Python is not adjacent to a couscous. So with that knowing, we can cross out the Python here. We can cross out the Python there. And assuming, yeah, I mean, there's 3 couscouses. 3 couscousi? Sure. I don't know what the plural was, but that was good information. So it's either going to be, a couscous is either going to be here or a couscous is going to be there. We just don't know what it is. And depending on the result of that, it's either going to be, I mean, if it's at 8, then it has to be at 6. If it's at 12, then it could be 6 or 5, is what that pattern would be. Okay. So with that out of the way, that means I had to move 2 spaces, right? So I go 1, 2. Okay. And now Teeny is furthest back. So we have to figure out. Now I zoomed all the way around and I'm now here. So now Teeny is going to take their action. So Teeny's turn is, it is on area 12, which I think that's what that is. Yes. And continue. Teeny surveys areas 6, 7, and 11 for empty areas by foot. So he goes 6, 7, and 11. So he must have done like a land action. So that, and that. So he went through there. He searched for empty areas, which I don't think that would yield nothing for him. Because again, we know that 11 is a lorry. 6 is possibly empty, but I don't think so. And 7 is a couscous. So at most he found 1 empty space, but I don't think that's it. I'm going to write that down anyway. 6, 7, just so we know what he's looking at. And empty. But I don't know what result he got. I'm pretty sure it was 0. Pretty sure it's 0. But again, this could be empty. And or Planet X, or not Planet X. I'm going to do that all the time because there's the other game, Search for Planet X, very similar to this. Same developer too. It could be Species X. And the couscouses be here, here, and, here. So he moved 3 spaces on the track. So he went 1, 2, 3. We skipped the brown spaces. That's only for the Explorer there. Now it's the Explorer's turn. And he's going to move here. But we perform the action. So we get our town tokens back. So that comes back to me, and that goes back to the computer. And we now get to choose 2 guesses, up to 2 guesses. And I've got more information. I'm going to guess that number 7 is a couscous. Pretty darn sure that's the case. I get more points for couscouses. So I'm going to use the number 2, which is what it wants me to do. So number 2. And I'm going to do another lorry. So again, I think it was these 4. or no, it was 10, 11. What was it? Yeah, 10, 11. So I'm going to do a couscous there and put that there. And let's see if he does anything. A face down sighting token in 16. 16. Where is 16? He knows what that is. That is interesting. He must have deduced that is a lorry, but I'm not exactly sure how. I'd have to look through his stuff and find that out. So he does put a... he puts a face down sighting token there. All right. Now, I was there first, so when the sighting tokens get revealed, I'll mark it on my score sheet that I was the first one to discover that, and I'll get the extra point for it, although he will get a point for finding the lorry as well. And I'm curious, what did he do to find that out? He did that rainforest one, and he also did camera 12. What else did he do? How did he know? That rainforest... That research rainforest must have given him some information. I sincerely hope I didn't mess up with this lorry situation up here. I don't think I did. I hope I didn't. Okay. Okay. I could, just to be on the safe side, I feel like verifying those lorries, but I'm pretty certain that's not the case. Now, one thing you can do in the app that I forgot to mention, under history, you can see the starting information, which is kind of cool. Under 12, there's no Python, but how did we determine? We got 10, 11, and 6, right? And yeah, and we got 6 and 7, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 12. That was couscous. 10, 11, and 6 were lorries. So I must have... let me check the history again. I could have sworn I looked for other things. Survey by boat 5 through 8. I forgot to write that down. Lorries 5 through 8. No lorries. So I did do a 5, 6, 7, 8... and got no lorries that way. And I determined that 10, 11, 6 had 2. So if there were no lorries at 5, 6, 7, and 8, I'm just double checking my work here. If there were no lorries at 5, 6, 7, and 8, then the pattern could not have... I'm worried that he has a lorry pattern here, but that can't be right. It can't be right. Unless he knows where the couscous are and then somehow knows then where the lorries are. Like, that's the only thing I can think of. Because if 5 through 8 is no lorries, if there were no lorries present there when I looked, then, and there were 2 in 10, that means 10 and 11 have to be lorries. In which case, these are the correct... Yeah, so I don't know how he knows that. Aside from the whole research C rainforest thing that he did. That's the only thing I can think of. So I'll be really curious. Maybe I missed something along the way. But let's go back to our main screen. And from there, so he did stuff. And now I get to take a turn. Okay. He did a sighting. And there were no 6s to check, by the way, so we're not going to worry about that. I'm here. I'm tempted to look for couscous there to figure out where they are in relation to everything. Because as a reminder, he knows what's here, and he knows what's here. How he... Again, that's boggling to me. If I did, say, a boat action, I could do from, or I could do a land action, going from 12, 6, 7. If I get 2 couscous from that, Or I could do 12, 5. I'm trying to do it with a boat so that I use the least amount of points. I'm trying really hard not to take. Or I can go to the village. I got my village token back. Is there something here that would help me? This is a permanent. I can do land actions for 2 times instead of 3. That's a good one. All right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually just go 1, 2 to this town. And that's just one action to do that. And I'm going to take this card. And from here on out, I can take land actions for 2 times instead of 3. Survey by foot. Flip that over. And I get to research something now. And I'm really tempted to research the rainforest just to see what information he had. But at the same time, I don't want that to go to waste either. Let's go with swamp, couscous. I'm kind of already honing in on the couscous, so I really don't want that information. Couscous and toads. I already know that one. I'm sorry for moving around a lot, but okay, there we go. What information do I want? Lori and couscous. I don't think we need that. Swamp, couscous. Information on the python would be nice. That would bring us closer to where the lost species is because they're related. But I kind of want to. I'm really curious about that whole rainforest thing, but I don't want information I already have either. I feel like that would just be a waste of things. Oh man. You know what? Let's do the python. Maybe that will give us information in the future. So I'm going to do python and research that. The python is in a terrain. 2 or fewer other animals total. Terrain. So if it's in 2 or fewer animals, other animals total. So that's not going to be helpful to us until we start narrowing down where other things are. There's already 2 lorries in the hills. But that means that the python could still be in a hill somewhere. So as long as there's no other creatures in a hill space. So not helpful, not terribly helpful, except for that there. So that means we go up 1. And we still get to take a turn, but now the brown guy has to go, the researcher goes up here, and we get our first clue. There is a universal clue that we all get. It's called the conference, and that's what this purple 1 is all about. We're going to tap on Lost Species Conference and Lost Species 1. In view. The flying fox has 0 animals total. I don't know why it's listed twice like that. Has 0 animals total in a straight line to the northeast. Okay. There might be nothing in a straight line to the northeast. Northeast shows the direction of the orientation of your board. So, 0 animals total northeast straight line. Species X. 0 animals total northeast straight line. Okay. So that's telling me, like, if X were, I'm not saying it is, but if X were here, there would be no other animals here, here, or here, is what that's saying. But I don't think it's there. More than likely, it's probably up here somewhere. Okay. Or it could be on 14 and there's nothing on 1. Or it could be on 1, it's on the edge of the board. Who knows? Who knows? All right. So that was the Lost Conference, but I still get to take another turn because I'm furthest back. I am here. So now, maybe I do that whole land thing. I'm on that space. I'm here. What would be most helpful to me? 11, 12, 6? But if there's 1 couscous, that's not going to help me at all. 11, 12, 5? And if I get one couscous out of that, it's still not going to tell me anything. Although if I get two couscous from that, if I get two couscous, then no, it could still be, no, this is definitely a couscous. So if I did 11, 12, 5 and search for couscous, what if I got one? That wouldn't tell me if this is a couscous or this is a couscous. That wouldn't tell me. Okay. Man. I could boat it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just to see how many I get. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if I get 3, then they're all here. If I get 2, then here, here, and not here. Then here, because we got 2 in that before. Maybe we do that. Maybe 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And see how many we get. If we get 1, that only counts this one. And that means the other 2 are here. If we get 2, then that means that, because in the other example, when we look for couscouses from 7 to 12, we got 2 of them. So that means there's either 1 here or 1 here. And if we go from 10 to, say, 6, just boat, and we get 2, then we know, well, and if we get 2, then that means there's definitely, well, no, if we get 2, then there could be 1 here and then 1 here. Ugh. This is one of those things where, I mean, I could narrow it down a bit more. I could go say, I mean, I've got that one card that lets me move by my survey by foot, and I could do like 11. I could do 11, 12, 6 to see how many couscouses I get there. But again, if I only get 1 result, then it could be that or that, and I won't know. Because this pattern is still a possibility right there. This pattern is a possibility right there. This pattern is, can it be? No. This, and this could be it. So I need to find a way to narrow that down. Maybe I do 11, 12, and 5. If I do 11, 12, and 5 and look for couscous, that would, if I get 1 result, because, yeah, so if I get 1 result, then it has to be there because, no, oh, that is, oh boy. This is where my brain starts to shut off. They can't be more than 2 away from each other. 11, 12, 5. 11, 12, 5. And more than likely, I'm going to get 2 results there. And if I get none, then it's 8, 7, 6. Let's just do that. Let's just move this game along. I feel like I'm sort of dragging it. Couscous. And I'm sure you guys are yelling at me. I'm sure there's a better way. But 11, 12, 6. Or 11, 12, 5. 11, 12, 5. We're going to look for couscous. And depending on what we get, continue. There are no couscous in areas 5 and 11 and 12. That means that this has to be a frog, which, interesting. Okay. So, Okay, let's take that information and puzzle this out. No couscous. We searched for couscous in 5, 11, and 12 and got a 0 result. That tells us a lot. 5, 11, 12. So that may be that we had before. That means this 8 was definitely a couscous. And from that, so that goes away. And we can put an X there. That means that 12 has to be a frog. Because that's the only thing left in that space. But there has to be 2 empty spaces next to it, right? And 6 has to be a couscous because this is 2 spaces away. So 6 has to be a couscous as well. Yeah, that seems logical to me. So our couscouses are actually in the bottom left next to the log. That's weird. But then we've got this frog here. And the only empty spaces available to it are here and here. So these have to be empty spaces. So we can eliminate that and that and that and that. So we actually got the majority of the board handled. Now we just got to figure out where the python is and the other frog, and then the other empty spaces. The other empty frog, the frog might be here, although this is not adjacent because there's a mountain in the way. Okay. And then down here, well, there's that information. Species X, 0 animals total northeast in a straight line. There is an animal here. Oh, that's a couscous. What am I talking about? I just forgot to exit. There we go. Yeah, I was trying to be smart. Okay, so we got some information there, which is great. I move up 2 on the track because of that card. So I go 1, 2, and now it is Teeny's turn. So Teeny is going to... it is on the... Yep, he is there. Great. He visits the town and does the couscous research. So he moved here and did couscous research, F, which we don't know anything about, but we don't need to. So research C couscous. And he gets a card. He takes the lowest numbered card, which is that one. It's number 1 on the bottom right there. So we got another 2 points. Okay. Not terrible. We'll hit continue. He moves up 1 space in front of me. That passes this guy, and he's going to move up here. And now we get to do more sightings. Are there any number 1 tokens to look? Well, we'll do the 3s first, then we'll reveal the 1s. So I am going to definitely start scoring. I think that toad is super important. I think they give more points than anything. Yeah, they give 4 points compared to the couscous's 3. So I want to make sure I get that down. So let me just make sure. So I'm pretty sure that 12 is the toad. I'll verify that in a moment with my sheet. Okay. Even though he's got something there first, I want to make sure I get in on that before that token gets revealed. Because it's about to be revealed here in a little bit. And then we want to, I think, we got couscouses, 8, 7, and 6. Is that correct? So we can get a couscous right there. No, we'll put it down there. No, we'll put it there. Because if I start revealing these things, the computer will then know what I know. This information, when I'm putting sightings, he doesn't know that yet. He only knows it when I confirm it via the app. So let's get a 3 on there. And that was my second sighting. So now he's going to do sighting tokens. He does not report a sighting, which means he doesn't have any further information that would be useful to him. And now we reveal the 1s. And the 1s, there's a 1 here. And let's see, I'm going to confirm sightings. I'm going to choose 16 and Lori. Correct. Area 16 has a Lori. All players should report. Who the first report that sighting should mark it. So I was the first player to mark it with bet number 1. So I get an extra point at the end of the game for that. I'm going to put a green circle on the 16 space. That's the lorry space I just revealed. These don't go right, like they don't hover over exactly, but it's fine. And then the computer is going to leave his token here for end of game. But we both know that the lorries were discovered there. And were there any other ones on here? Right here, there was a 1. So let's go ahead and look at number 9. Confirm sightings. This is the one I'm worried about. Number 9. Correct. Number 9 has a lorry. So that is also a correct one for me. Under number 9, I'm going to put a green circle to indicate that I did find it first. All right. Great. And that makes me feel a little bit better about my previous logic. It is late and I'm getting tired. Okay, so number 1, there's also one that he put over here, and we know that's going to be the toad. Pretty sure. So we're going to confirm sightings, and how do we do him? Tap Teeny's icon instead of an animal. Okay, so we're going to do number 12, because he put one there. And we're going to tap his icon. Continue. It was correct. She always is. She's always correct. So Teeny actually gets a point for that. So I'm going to put a triangle on my... I'm going to put an X, actually, to indicate that she found it first. And that was number 12. But I did discover it as well, just not in the nick of time. And I'll still get points for it, but just not the extra point for getting to it first. Okay, so we're going to remove this one and that one. Okay, great. And I'm just going to get rid of that lorry and put the frog there. Frog, it's couscous. There we go. Okay, for endgame scoring purposes. So we checked our 1s, and I think we're all good to go there. Pretty soon we'll be revealing these 2s, and we'll be getting points for those as well. So it is now my turn, because I am the one in the back there. And I need to get up this way in the upper right and figure out what the remaining creatures are. And so... D was the snake, correct? I just want to make sure I got that right. Python, yeah. So I should have written that down under D here. I should put in Python. Python is 2 terrain or fewer than other animals total. Well, now that we know more animals, let's see what we got. We got 2 hills there and there. We have 3 rainforests, so we know the python is not in a rainforest. So I think we're safe to cross those off. And in the swamp, there's a creature there. There's a creature at 11 in that swamp. Let's go ahead and move this over a bit so you can see it. There's a creature in that swamp. There's a creature. So that tells me that the python is in a hills area. And there's only 2 left. There's this one and this one. The python is not going to be in any of these other ones. And again, that's because of this research down here. The python, terrain, 2 or fewer than other animals total. So there's 1, 2, 3 animals in the rainforest. 1, 2, 3. And in the swamp, there's the couscous, there's the lorry, and then there's the frog. So that's 3 right there. So that tells us that there's 2 lorries in the hills. That's it. So the python has to be in the lorry, or in the swamp. That tells us that the other space is going to be probably blank. Or species X. So we're going to cross off the python on these here. Okay, and the python is either going to be here or here. We don't know yet. Okay, so what I could do is, on my turn, I could do a boat action, depending on where I'm at. Where am I at? I'm all the way down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not going to be any help whatsoever. I'm at the village. I'm all the way down here. I need to book it over there. I don't want to waste time either. I feel like I have to. Now, I figured out where the couscouses are, so I guess I could also get rid of them on my tracker. That still leaves one frog somewhere. And again, the frogs have to be next to 2 truly empty spaces. What I could do, to not waste my turn, I could move, say, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and maybe look for frogs. Or do I go up to 1 and look for frogs? Because there might be one at 14, there could be one at 1. I could try and narrow that down a bit more. Ugh. If there's a python on a hill, that means there won't be another animal type on a hill. Correct? Because then that would break the research rule down here. So that means that there's no frog on 15 or 4. Okay, that's one step closer there. 14 and 1. If there is a frogs, if I go up to 14 and there's a sighting, that means this has to be, well, this could be empty as well. That could be empty as well. Well, I need to get over there. And a boat is, I mean, moving 3 spaces is kind of useless to me. I could, 3 spaces is going to get me here or over here. I already know everything I need to know. So a boat is really the only way to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And maybe I look for, I have a feeling I'm going to get a result of 1, but I'm not going to know. Maybe I limit my search to maybe 14 or 1. Maybe I only go up there. Because don't forget, species X is somewhere up there. It's somewhere up there. And the one rule about it is 0 animals total northeast. So it's probably like that one. Or that one, or that one, because there was no animals northeast of it. It's really hard to know. All right, well, let's just keep this moving. I think maybe I just do 14, and maybe if I get lucky and get 1 toad, then that is where the other one is. I mean, that's that. And oof. All right, fine. Yeah, let's just do it. So we are here. We're going to move 2 spaces and do a boat action. So we're going to go by boat. We're going to go 11, 12, 13, 14. Do we stop there at 14? That's the question. Do we stop at 14 and hope that we get lucky and find another toad? I think we do. Let's just survey, and maybe we'll get lucky, maybe we won't. There are 2 toads. So we did find 2. Interesting. So we had the one at 12 that we found, and the only other one is here at 14. So we found the other one. We got lucky. So that is that. It's great news. And I'll mark this down here for completion purposes. Toad 11, 12, 13, 14, and that was a result of 2. Great. So now we know where that is. That means that there can be no toad here, or no toad there, or no toad here. That also tells us that there's either an empty space here or an empty space here. And I have a feeling that, you know, the Python, what scares me though is verifying that. Because like if species X is here, it's going to show up as an empty space. If what was that? Do we have anything left to verify? all that's left are empty spaces and the Python and species X. And, okay, okay, okay. All right, we're almost there. We're almost there. Like, all of these are pretty much empty. Like, we've got 4 empty spaces. No, we've got 3 empty spaces. We've got a Python, and we've got species X somewhere in that. And we have to figure out how do we identify that? That's going to be a bit rough. And again, the tip here is that Eru the Flying Fox is not adjacent to the Python. That could help us a bit. We need to figure out where that Python is. And I think we do a land action at some point in the future, just to 15 to see where it is, if it's there or not. I think that's what we end up doing. But we did move our spaces, and now the computer gets to take a turn. They are there, yes. And they are going to do 10, 11, 12. Oh, so I went whoosh up there. And it's doing 10, 11, and 12 and searching for lorries by foot. And he moves 3 spaces. So he goes 1, 2, and 3. Now, that's stuff we already know. So he hasn't found all of the lorries yet, thank goodness. But we will write down here. He went 10, 11. Oh, he just did 10 and 11. He just did lorries. He found 2 lorries, so he knows exactly what's there. And he probably, since he knows 16 is a lorry, he knows exactly, well, he might know that 6, I don't know. Depends on what was already discovered and revealed here. So he did 10 and 11. He knows that they're lorries because he would have gotten a result of 2. But that means the pattern could be here or it could be here. It depends on how much he knows about the couscous. So it doesn't really bother me any. He's still trying to figure that out. I'm up here trying to do my own thing. So from here, I will probably for 2 time via my card, just go inland. We'll look for 15 and 2. I mean, we know it's on a hill space, but I want to set myself up for the town and maybe do some more research there once I get my token back. Or have I not done that yet? Did I forget to put my token out here? I always forget to put my token out. I know the computer did it. You know, we'll just put them both out here. And when the next town, yep, there it is. That next town space is coming up, so we're going to get them back anyway. So, okay, let's go ahead and just do an inland. We'll do 15, then maybe 2, and that way I'll set myself up for that. So 15 and 2, survey by foot. It's only going to cost me 2 time because I have that 1 card. So 15 and 2 right there. And I'll be really curious to see. I mean, it's either going to be a 0 or a 1 at that point. So here we go. There is 1 Python in 2 and 15. Well, we kind of figured that. So there's that, which tells us a lot about species X. It's not adjacent to a Python. So that means that this brown line is mountain, so that doesn't even matter. That means species X cannot be here, and species X cannot be here. Species X could be up here, or it could be down here, correct? Okay, so how do I verify that? Oh, you know what? That makes sense. Now that we've found the Python here, we need a true empty space for the frog on 14. So that tells us that this is truly empty. And by extension, number 4 is our lost species. So this has to be truly empty. This has to be truly empty. And I think that's it. So that was an action we took, though, right? So I have to move 2 spaces. So I have to go 1 and then 2 over here. All right, so now the brown explorer is going to go here, and this is going to happen. We get our tokens back, our town tokens. Okay. And we put out the number 4s. Now this is good for us because I know where the python is and I can get a lot of points for that. So I am gonna do a sighting. I'm gonna put a 4 here along with the python. Python. There we are. Okay. And at the end of the game, even if you found out where species X is, these still get revealed and people score on them. That's going to get me a lot of points. And I think the next one is couscous. Oh, it's frog. So I want to mark where the other frog is, and that's on 14. So I'm going to put a guess there and put the frog. Where's my other frog token? I must have done something to it. I'm not sure what. Did I put one up by accident? No. Oh, there's 2 of them on top of each other. That's why. Okay, yeah, we're going to put that there and that on top. Okay, so that was my 2 guesses, and now I'm going to let Teeny put down anything. He puts down sighting tokens on 10 and 11. Those are the lorries that he discovered previously. We kind of knew that already. So we're going to put a lorry there and a lorry there, and that was number 4. Okay. And now we're going to reveal the number 2 token, and everything there gets points. So we know what this is, but we're going to go through the motions anyway. Confirm sightings. We're going to do number 10 because I have a token there and 2 needs to be revealed. We're going to do a lorry, confirm, correct. Number 10 has a lorry. That means, okay, yeah. That means I get to circle this down here. And that was number 10. Okay, good enough. And then also number 7 down here, huh? So confirm sightings. That was a couscous on number 7, I believe. Couscous. Correct, it has a couscous, so I'm going to get some points for that as well. That was on number 7. Great. If I can get it down there, not 6, 7, there we go. Okay, were there any other 2s that I need to reveal and verify? Doesn't look like it. All right, continue. So it is now Teeny's turn. We're going to go ahead and let Teeny take her turn. Surveys 6 through 10 by boat and looking for couscous. 6 through 10. Where is... So it's going to end up here. 6 through 10. Okay. So did it find it? It found a couple of couscouses, but whatever. 6 through 10. I'm not going to bother writing it down at that point because we're pretty much at the game's end here. So he moved by boat. He moved 2 spaces. So 1, 2. Okay. So now this brown one's going to move here, and we reveal conference number 2. We'll go ahead and do that for fun anyway, just to see what information that would have been. 0 arrow flying fox is in a terrain with 0 to 3 other animals total, which if it was here in the hills, 0 to 3 others. Correct, because snake is 1, and then the 2 lorries are also, it's a total of 3. So that stands to reason. Okay. All right. So we are going to now take our turn and locate lost species. It's going to cost me 5 turns. Okay, not adjacent to a python, which is fine. So we want to mark area 4. Continue. Now we have to tap adjacent locations and identify them. So adjacent is number 5, and that's an empty space. A lot of empty spaces around here. And then number 3 is also adjacent. It's the only other adjacent spaces. That's also an empty space. Continue. Confirm. Congratulations, you found the Eru Flying Fox. Don't announce where you found it. If you are the first one, advance your player pawn on the time track 5. Okay. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And now at this point, continue. How many spaces back is Teeny's pawn? 1, 2, 3, 4. So now it has one last chance to do something. He's either going to try and guess where the species is, or he's going to put down more sightings. He places down sighting tokens on 6 and 8. I don't know. That would be Couscous, probably. Couscous and... yep, so he knows where the 2 Couscous are there. Okay, continue. End game and reveal all. Okay. Are you sure you want to reveal all animals? Reveal. Okay, so the app is telling us where everything is. We're going to use that information to score the remainder tokens, the sighting tokens that we haven't scored yet. So we know that this is a Couscous, and I discovered it first. So that was number 6. I get a circle on number 6. Good enough. So that's gone. He got one on number 4. I could have sworn I had... Oh, I guess I didn't bother with that lorry because I knew of other things that were more valuable. So that goes away, and he gets number 11 there. So I'm going to put an X on number 11. He got that first, and I never got it. Okay. And what else here? These ones up here, they match the app, which they do. So I was the first to discover 14 and 15. There's that, and that good enough. And I think that's all of them. Pretty sure that's all of them. Okay, so he's going to score points, 2 points per card. Let's go ahead and do our score first. So down here, how many did we get first? Those green circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish. Sure. How many lorries did we discover? We did 9, 16, 10, 9, 16, and these are kind of off kilter. So 9, 10, 16, 11. We didn't do 11. He found that. So I verified sightings on 3 out of the 4 lorries, even though I knew where they were. So I got 6 points for that. The Couscous, 6, 7, 8. I did 2 of them. I verified 2 of them because I guess I found the toads and they were more valuable at some point. So I'm going to get 6 points for that because I did verify 6 and 7, but not 8, which is down here. The frogs, I did 14. Okay, 14 and 12. There's one there. So it found the 12 first. Did I even bother? I did. I have a token there, which means I did a sighting for it, but I didn't I did a sighting, but I didn't get to it first. So that means that I still get points for it, but I didn't get like an extra point for getting to it first. So I get 8. I knew the snake is where it was, and then I was the first one to find the species X. So if we total that, any victory point cards? I don't think I had any. 7, 6, 6. So I had 17, 25, 31, 37, 37 was 44-ish. Sure. Around 44 points. I did that real quick. And then the computer, he got 1 point, 2 points for discovering those first. How many did he really verify here? Okay, so he had 1, 2, 3 lorries at 6. The Couscous are 3 apiece. So he got 2, 4, 6, 9, 12, The frogs are 4, so that's 16. So he got 16 siding tokens out. Plus 2 and 4, that's 20. So he got 20 points. So I beat him 44 to 20, I think. Close enough. So there you go, folks. That was Search for Lost Species. This is a great game. I don't know which one I like better between Planet X and Lost Species. There's also another one out there, Search for UTO or something like that. I'm looking forward to trying that out at some point if I get access to it. But yeah, Search for Lost Species. It is on Tabletop Simulator. If you like logic puzzles, then by all means check this game out. This is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Take care.